Good morning and welcome to the OJP TFSC session on preparing for success, how to prepare for desk reviews, site visits, and other monitoring activities. So let's start off with a little bit of housekeeping tips before we begin. This session, the live discussion webinar, will be hosted by the OJP, the Office for Justice Programs. If you have any technical issues during this session, please contact OJP TFSC at usdoj.gov. You can access the informational brochure and the FAQs with the links provided in the chat. To ask a question during the session, please use the chat box on the right-hand side of your Zoom screen. So right now, let's open our chat and just let us know what you have for breakfast, the last thing you have for breakfast. See what we got here. Oh, we got pancakes, okay. Coffee, all right. Had a sandwich. Good morning, Natalia. Biscuits. Haven't eaten yet. All right. Got to get you a coffee. Okay, so let's begin. So in order to have the most accurate attendance, please use the chat box again to tell us the number of people joining you on the session, including yourself. Everything except the Q&A discussion will be recorded today. And we also have live captions. To disable those, just click on the captions button to turn it off if you're not going to use them. We also have captions that you can open in a separate window. So we have an English version and a Spanish version that are posted in the chat below for you. Since your feedback is so important to us, at the end of the webinar, we'll provide a webinar survey link for you. And I'll share the links for you right now. So before we begin, let's go over a couple of Zoom tips. On the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a microphone icon. To mute yourself, you can click that icon, and when you see a red slash, that's how you know you muted yourself. If you're not speaking today, please ensure you mute yourself just to avoid any background noise or any interruptions. To the right of that microphone icon, you'll see a video icon. You just click that icon to start your video, and to turn it off, click it again, you see a red slash, that's how you know your video is off. To the right of those icons, you see a chat icon. You click that to open your chat window to the right-hand side of your screen, and that's how you communicate with everyone on the platform today. And to send a private message, you just click that drop down, and you can select anyone on the session to send a private chat to them. Also, to change your viewing experience on the top right-hand side of your Zoom screen, you can change the viewing experience. You can go to presenter view, where you can see who's just speaking at that time, or you can go to grid view, which is kind of like the Brady Bunch grid. So let's meet our presenters. Our first presenter is Crystal McNeil Wright. She's an associate CFO for the Grants Financial Management Division in the Office of Justice Programs. And she brings more than 30 years of leadership and management experience. Crystal is also a published author of a book on parenting. We'll also have Edith Santiago. She's a financial monitoring manager at the Grants Financial Management Division in the Office of Justice Programs, bringing more than 30 years of accounting and financial management experience with government, nonprofit, for-profit, and international organizations. In addition to managing a team of staff accountants, conducting financial monitoring reviews on Department of Justice grants, Edith has been conducting various grants financial management trainings for the DOJ grantees. Jurani Savara is a financial monitoring manager for the Evaluation and Oversight Branch, bringing more than 30 years of experience in accounting and auditing to the position. As a financial monitoring manager, Mrs. Savara manages a staff whose responsibilities are mainly comprised of desk reviews, site visits, and the all-encompassing task of reviewing and ensuring that grantees are following the cost principles that are outlined in the Code of Federal Regulations and the DOJ Financial Guide, and all the other specific program guidelines. Also joining us today is Terrell Acevedo. He's a financial specialist for the OJP TFSC and a native to Puerto Rico. And last but certainly not least, we will have Francis Mendez. He's a project director for the OJP TFSC, and he has a background in law, social work, and business administration. So without further ado, I'll pass it up to Crystal McNeil Wright.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jamil. Good morning to all of you in Puerto Rico. We're so happy to have you with us here this morning. I am, again, Crystal McNeil Wright. I am the Associate CFO for the Grants Financial Management Division at OJP. And it is my office that oversees the financial monitoring of all of your grant awards. So we are here really just to offer and prepare you for success, just as the presentation states. So we'll go through a financial monitoring Q&A and presentation where we'll provide necessary guidance and tools to set you up for success. We'll also go through case scenarios and activities and do some Q&A there as well. And hopefully this will allow for you to remember a number of the tools and materials that we present to you. We'll also have an open Q&A and discussion, and you'll be able to ask any questions that you have that we will be able to answer. Again, we're just so very excited to have you here with us this morning. Anything that you have, any questions that you brought with you, please ask those. These are the staff who will be who come out to monitor your grants. So they will be doing the presentation. We'll have a closing, and again, anything that you have, any questions you have, feel free to ask. So I am going to go ahead and turn the presentation now over to Edith Santiago. She is one of the financial monitoring managers on my team, and she's very excited to present to you today. Take it away, Edith.
Thank you, Crystal. Well, good morning, everyone, beautiful people of Puerto Rico. On behalf of the Office of Justice Programs, Office of the Chief Financial Officer, I would like to welcome you all to our financial management training webinar focusing on financial monitoring. My name again is Edith Santiago, and I'm from the Office of the Chief Financial Officer, Grants Financial Management Division. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to talk about why we need to financially monitor our grants, the types of financial monitoring reviews we perform, our process in conducting site visits and desk reviews, and finally, we're going to discuss our top 10 monitoring findings. Next slide, please. The primary objective of financial monitoring is to protect taxpayer funds from mismanagement and misuse and ensure that grant recipients are in compliance with legislative, regulatory, and administrative requirements of your award. We look at your financial management system, written policies and procedures, and financial records to ensure that they are adequate for administering grant funds. We want to obtain reasonable assurance that you maintain an adequate internal controls to protect those federal dollars. We also want to make sure that you comply with appropriate program guidelines and federal regulations, as well as the terms and special conditions of your award document. We will evaluate your overall financial management of the grants that we have awarded to you. Based on this effort, we will provide you with technical assistance and recommend improvements as necessary. Next slide, please. We have two types of financial reviews: on-site reviews or site visits, where we perform our monitoring at the grantee site, and desk reviews, where we perform our monitoring right at our desk. Monitoring is a limited scope review where we use audit techniques to examine and assess your accounting system, internal controls, and related policies and procedures as they relate to federal transactions. slide, please. Once our monitors receive their monitoring assignments, they will normally contact your DOJ program manager and invite them to conduct a joint programmatic monitoring review with us. A joint review is very beneficial because it's going to help ease the burden on you guys, so you don't have to provide the same documents to several DOJ program managers and financial monitor several times throughout the year. Once the program managers and OCFO agree on a date, we will contact you, the grantee, to confirm your availability. Since we are conducting a financial monitoring review, we will always require the financial people to be available during our site visit. After we confirm the dates with your agency, we will send out an official confirmation letter confirming the date and time that we will be out there, so there won't be any confusion. Also, in that confirmation letter, we will be requesting a number of documents from you in advance to help us prepare for the site visit. We will also notify your state U.S. Attorney's Office of our scheduled site visit as part of our protocol. Next slide, please. While waiting for the documents we have requested from you, we will conduct preliminary review of the information that we already have within our internal systems. We're going to check to see the timeliness of the submission of your FFRs and progress reports. If indirect cost is approved in your budget, we want to make sure that we have your current indirect cost rate agreement. We will also review your application narrative, budget worksheets, and budget narrative, and review the financial occurrence memo, which is your approved budget. Next slide, please. We will also review information that are currently in other federal systems. We'll check to see if you submitted your single audit report timely to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. We're going to check SAM to make sure that your registration is current. We're also going to check FSRS, the FAFATA Subaward Reporting System, to see if you submitted your subaward information. Next slide, please. Once we get the documentation that we have requested from you, we're going to review your accounting records to see if you are tracking each grant by approved budget categories or spending plan. For formula grants, we're going to make sure that you're also accurately tracking your administrative costs. Next, we're going to select expenditure transactions and request for you to provide us with the supporting documents for the samples selected. We're also going to review your policies and procedures to see if they're adequate in administering grant funds. Next slide, please. We're going to compare your cumulative expenditures from your general ledger account with the cumulative expenditures reported on your FFR to make sure that they reconcile to the penny. We also want to make sure that indirect costs, match, and program income, if applicable, are reported on your FFRs every quarter and reported on a cumulative basis. Next slide, please. We're going to compare the cumulative expenditures from your accounting records with your total drawdowns as of the end of that particular quarter. Drawdown should be on a reimbursement basis, except for certain formula grants such as the JAG grant and the COVID-19 grant. If total drawdowns are more than the expenditures recorded in your accounting system, then you're going to have excess cash in your account. And if you don't spend those funds for grant-specific purposes immediately, you will have to return that back to us, return it back to OJP. Next slide, please. We're also going to compare your approved budget with your actual expenditures. After we verify the accuracy of the total expenditures per budget category, we analyze your budget versus actuals for any irregularities. We want to make sure that you're spending within your approved budget. And if there are any deviations from your budget, we want to make sure that the total deviation does not exceed 10% and does not change the scope of your project. Whenever you make changes to your budget, it is highly recommended that you let your program manager know to ensure that you are still in compliance. If you have a zero budget category, we want to make sure that you don't have any budget expenditures within that zero budget category. If there's a need for you to spend on that budget category where funds are not authorized, you must obtain prior approval from your awarding agency. Next slide, please. We're also going to review your single audit report. We will check to see if DOJ programs were selected as one of the major programs audited on your single audit report, and if so, were there any findings related to DOJ awards? We're also going to look for any cross-cutting issues, meaning, did we find the same problem during our monitoring review? And finally, we're going to check the Federal Audit Clearinghouse for timely submission. Next slide, please. When we arrive at your office, the first thing we're going to do is conduct an entrance conference. We're going to discuss the purpose of our review and the results of our preliminary review. We look to see if you maintain an effective internal controls over federal awards that provide us with reasonable assurance that you are managing federal awards in compliance with federal statutes, regulations, and the terms and conditions of your federal award. Examples of basic principles of internal controls are established policies and procedures and segregation of duties. We will check to see if you maintain an adequate financial management system and financial records that accurately account for all federal funds awarded to you. These records shall include both federal funds, all matching funds when applicable, as well as program income. You may put your money all in one pot as long as you can accurately track receipts, obligations, and expenditures of each individual grant separately by approved budget category. We will also select a sample of expenditure transactions and ask you to provide us with documentation to support those expenditures. We're going to check whether the expenditures are allowable under the program guidelines, allocable, meaning within your approved budget, reasonable and necessary for your program, and adequately supported. And finally, on the last day of our review, we're going to conduct an exit conference. We're going to discuss the results of our review and provide you with technical assistance as necessary. Next slide. When we come back to our office, we will finalize our report and share it with your program managers and our Office of Audit, Assessment, and Management. You will receive a follow-up letter from us in about 45 days, identifying our findings and our recommendation to resolve them. You will have 30 days to respond to us with your corrective action plan to address all our findings. And if you need more time, just let us know and we'll give you an extension. Once we get your CAP, your corrective action plan, we will review your response and any additional documentation that you have provided to us, and then we're going to issue either a partial closure or closure letter. Next slide, please. Okay, for desk reviews, so what do we do when we conduct desk review? The process for a desk review is very similar to a site visit. We're going to send you an email notification letting you know that we're conducting a desk review on your grant. Attached to our email is an internal control questionnaire which we ask you to complete and return to us within 10 business days. Your responses to the questions will give us an understanding of your financial management system and grant processes. We're also going to conduct a detailed analysis of information contained within our internal system and in the various federal financial automated systems such as SAM, Federal Audit Clearinghouse, and FSRS. We're going to check to see the timeliness of the submission of your FFRs and progress reports. We're going to conduct an excess cash analysis, comparing expenditures. Since we don't have your accounting records, we're going to use the FFR against drawdown. Compliance with special conditions on the Word document, we're going to check on that. And also if you met your mandatory match requirements. We have a checklist that we complete. And if we need clarification or have identified issues, we will conduct you for additional information or work with you to resolve the issues. When we complete our review, we're going to send you an email notification that the desk review is closed and there are no issues, or issue you a recommendation letter. Next slide, please. At the end of each fiscal year, we analyze our data, review all the issues we have identified during our desk reviews and site visits, and come up with our top 10 findings for that fiscal year. For fiscal year 2020, here are our top 10 findings. Number one is procedures not documented or need improvement. And this could be like, mostly it's procedures related to personnel, travel, subrecipient monitoring procedures. Most of our grantees have a general accounting policies and procedures, but they don't have procedures specific to managing federal grants. Number two is FAFATA reporting requirements not met. Number three, internal control weaknesses. You have procedures, but you don't follow your procedures. Number four, FFRs do not reconcile to grantees' accounting records. Next slide, please. Number five, award special conditions violated unauthorized expenditures, drawdowns. Pay attention to the special condition that put a hold on your funds. If you see do not obligate, expend, or draw down, that means do not obligate, expend, or draw down funds until the special condition is cleared. When we review your accounting records, we're going to look at dates of drawdowns, expenditure dates, obligation dates to make sure that you comply. We have cases that grantees signed a contract or subawarded before the special condition was released. When you subaward or sign a contract, that is an obligation. Okay, it's hard when it's in Spanish. Number six, inadequate subrecipient files, documentation. Number seven, authorized signing official or contact information not current in our system. Number eight, indirect costs charged improperly. The rate has expired. Next slide, please. Number nine, excess cash on hand identified. And finally, number 10, there are two findings that have equal scores, and they ended up both on the top 10, number 10 on our top findings. That is the audit report package not received at the Federal Audit Clearinghouse and unsupported costs related to personal and fringe benefits. Next slide, please. There are a number of resources out there that can help you properly manage your grants. Next slide, please. But there are two major resources that you need to be really familiar with. That is the CFR 200 and the DOJ Grants Financial Guide. Use these two as your primary resource in helping you fulfill your fiduciary responsibilities. Following them will keep you out of trouble and out of jail. Next slide, please. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much, everyone.
Muy bien, ok. Ahora vamos a pasar a la primera pregunta de encuesta. Esta pregunta está basada en los top 10, ¿verdad? En los 10 hallazgos mayores del año fiscal 2020. Y bueno, dice así. La primera opción, discúlpame que no la veo. Ok, la primera opción es procedimientos no documentados o que necesitan mejoras. El segundo es incumplimiento de requisitos de FATA para reportes. El tercero es debilidad de control interno, procedimientos no aplicados. El cuarto es FFR no reconcilia con los récords contables. Quinto, incumplimiento de condición especial, gastos o retiros no autorizados. Sexto, documentación del subbeneficiario inadecuada. Séptimo, el oficial autorizado que firma o la información de contacto no está corriente. Octavo, costos indirectos aplicados incorrectamente. Aquí, ¿verdad? Estamos hablando mayormente de tasas de costos indirectos expiradas. La novena es exceso de efectivo a la mano, ¿verdad? Los retiros no van acorde con los gastos. Y por último, el paquete de reporte de auditoría no se ha recibido en el FIC, específicamente personal y beneficio. Así que le vamos a dar unos minutitos para que puedan contestar. Siempre tienen la opción de escribir en el chat, ¿verdad? Cualquier otro tema que les gustaría que tocáramos. Muy bien, o sea que tenemos un empate de 4, 25% cada uno. Ok, procedimientos no documentados o necesitan mejoras. Ok, debilidad de control interno, FFR no reconcilia con los récords contables y oficial autorizado no está en récord. Okay, so you know, for my English speaking people, so the first, there's a 4-way tie, 25% all around. The first one is that procedures are not documented or they need improvement. The second one is that internal controls are weak or they were not applied. Third is that FFRs are not reconciling with accounting records. And then finally, officials are not actually registered. Good, let's go ahead. Ok, pues ahora vamos a pasar a una actividad de casos, de escenarios de casos. Son 3 escenarios. Los vamos a llevar a cabo de 3 formas distintas. Primero vamos a hacer una encuesta, ¿verdad? Como la que acabamos de hacer. La segunda va a ser unas respuestas por el chat. Y la tercera, y es la primera vez que lo hacemos, vamos a hacer, entiendo que 2 grupitos basados en la gente que está asistiendo. Y entonces ustedes pues van a hablar entre ustedes y nos van a dar unas respuestas, ¿no? Vamos a pasar a los escenarios de caso. Go ahead. Ok, pues el escenario de caso número 1 es sobre los FFR, ¿verdad? Los reportes federales financieros y los balances contables. ¿Qué pasó? Los monitores solicitaron los balances del mayor general para los periodos reportados en el FFR. Al inspeccionarlos un poquito más de cerca, notan que los balances acumulativos no igualan las cantidades reportadas en el FFR, ¿no? El asunto de reconciliación resulta en un hallazgo y los monitores requieren una explicación un poquito más detallada de la varianza. Obviamente esto pues, va a llevar a que hayan unos ajustes o en el FFR o en los récords contables. Esto es un finding, no, esto es un hallazgo. Entonces la pregunta es, ¿qué se pudo haber hecho para prevenir este hallazgo, verdad? O sea, hubo un desfase entre lo que es el FFR y los números del FFR y los récords contables que ustedes tienen en sus libros. Go ahead with the poll. Entonces, estas son las opciones. Les digo que la última no es. ¿Qué se puede haber hecho para prevenir este hallazgo, ¿no? Este finding. La primera es revisar el FFR después de haberlo sometido. Segunda es reconciliar el FFR con los récords contables al menos una vez al trimestre. Tercero es reprocesar todas las entradas contables del trimestre. La cuarta es postear entradas de ajuste para el último trimestre sometido. Y la última, pues, nada, opción abierta que pueden entrar. Les doy unos minutitos. Wow, very good. El 67% de las personas la tienen correcta. El consejo, ¿verdad? de DOJ y de nosotros de TFSC es que mientras más puedan reconciliar, ¿verdad? Al menos trimestral, yo, ¿verdad? Como contador, me gusta hacerlo mensualmente, pero al menos trimestralmente reconciliar las cuentas contra el FFR, ¿no? Reprocesar todas las entradas contables del trimestre sometido, pues mira, no se debería hacer. Eso se presta para muchos errores y ¿verdad? Un poquito de caos contable. Lo que sí se debe hacer es reconciliar y obviamente pues si hay un mismatch, pues hacer las entradas de ajuste pertinente. Okay, so they actually got it right. Reconciling at least the FFR to the accounting records, at least on a quarterly basis, they got it right. And then the second answer was reprocessing all accounting entries. I mentioned that this is not the best accounting practice. What should be done is look for the mismatch and then process any adjusting entries as necessary. Go ahead. Ok, esto es otro escenario y va, ¿verdad? Va de la mano del primero, ¿verdad? Es como resultado del primero. Como resultado de la discordancia, los monitores han requerido los detalles de todas las cuentas del mayor general, ¿verdad? Del pasado trimestre. Luego de revisar las cuentas, se dan cuenta de que el error provino de los gastos de compensación, específicamente de las horas trabajadas por algunos empleados en seminario. Luego de análisis adicional, ¿qué hacen? Solicitan, ¿verdad? las hojas de horario o asistencia, como le conocemos los timesheets, y encuentran que varias de ellas no han sido debidamente aprobadas ni firmadas por un supervisor. Segundo finding, ¿verdad? Segundo hallazgo. Sigue la misma pregunta. ¿Qué se puede haber hecho para prevenir este hallazgo? Ahora sí, tienen que, no hay, ¿verdad? No hay encuesta en esta parte. Lo que necesitamos es que entren sus contestaciones, sus respuestas en el chat. En español, en inglés, como usted. Nadie tiene ninguna idea de qué se puede haber hecho. Tan tímidos. Ok. Pues mira, les digo, la realidad del caso es que ¿verdad? El DOJ siempre va a chequear lo que son las hojas de horario y asistencia, ¿verdad? Los timesheets. So, la respuesta es que siempre se deben verificar, ¿verdad? Antes de un monitoreo financiero, ¿no? El tercer escenario va a brindar un poquito más de profundidad, pero vale. Siempre estén preparados. Esto es algo que siempre les van a pedir. Do we have the answer? Can we put it up? Exacto. Yes, Beverly. Muy bien. Claro. Las hojas ¿verdad? De horario de asistencia siempre deben estar aprobadas, ¿no? Y obviamente, pues antes del monitoreo. Ok, go ahead, guys. Muy bien. Esta es otra continuación ¿verdad? Del escenario 1 y el escenario 2. Nos llevan, ¿verdad? A una indagación un poquito más profunda. Entonces, ¿qué pasó? Los monitores, ¿verdad? Pues obviamente muy preocupados porque no hay firmas en los timesheets. Pidieron las políticas y los procedimientos en cuanto a la asistencia y a las hojas de horario, ¿no? ¿Qué pasa? Encontraron que estas políticas y estos procedimientos estaban incompletos. ¿Por qué? Pues mira, la razón que dieron para que estas hojas estuvieran no debidamente aprobadas y firmadas era porque los supervisores estaban de vacaciones. Desafortunadamente esto no es aceptable, ¿no? O sea, los supervisores se pueden ir de vacaciones y tiene que haber un proceso establecido con unos pasos y unas direcciones para cuando esto pasa, ¿no? Y nada, ¿qué pasó? Tuvieron un tercer finding precisamente por esto, ¿verdad? Porque las políticas o procedimientos no contaban con que esto pasara. ¿Qué se pudo haber hecho para prevenir este hallazgo? Now we're going to go to the break groups, right? Okay. So we're going to give you 5 minutes. I am going to join breakout room 2. Okay, I'm in. Hey, Francis.
Hey,
So
Joel.
hi. So were you the moderator on the other breakout group?
Yes.
Awesome. So what was your group's answer?
Sure. Natalia, ¿quiere hablar un poquito sobre la respuesta que hablamos during el breakout?
Perfect.
Sí,
Yeah,
le
so
estaba comentando a Francis, hola a todos, que obviamente por la misma línea que eran los escenarios anteriores, básicamente revisar y verificar esas políticas y procedimientos antes de que comience la monitoría. En este caso le estaba comentando a Francis que muchos de los procedimientos de las agencias en Puerto Rico pues están centralizados. Y que pues entonces a veces hay que verificar política de procedimiento que son de otras oficinas que se nos pasan a todas las demás agencias.
Claro.
Así que pues tiene que ser un proceso de revisión constante.
Correcto, correcto. Muy bien, Natalia. En mi grupo, María Martínez también la atinó, la pegó, dijo exactamente lo mismo, ¿no? Hay que estar constantemente verificando los documentos, ¿verdad? Y los procedimientos para asegurarse de que están actualizados. So, again, guys, so both groups actually got it right. They both said that procedures and policies have to constantly be revisited to check that they're, up to date and actually work out. So both groups got it right. All right. Entonces, last poll question. De estas tres, ¿verdad? De estas tres escenarios de caso y o, ¿verdad? Como conducimos, ¿verdad? Las preguntas y la dinámica, que fueron lo más que les gustó o que encontraron de mayor ayuda. Los temas en general, la pregunta de encuesta, ¿verdad? Como siempre la hacemos, la discusión por el chat o, ¿verdad? O la última, ¿verdad? Que fue la discusión en grupo y la interacción. Les damos unos minutitos. Ok. O sea que les gustan más las encuestas. Perdóname, los temas. Ok, les gustaron los temas. Y saben que ahora quiero hacer un hincapié, porque creo que este tema ¿verdad? De monitoreo financiero es como una caja de Pandora, ¿no? Que abre la posibilidad a muchos otros temas particulares, ¿no? Con los que quizás tenemos un poquito de duda, ¿verdad? O que necesitamos un poquito de refuerzo. Este webinar estaba enfocado más a cómo prepararse, ¿verdad? Para un monitoreo, pero siempre pensamos que, ¿verdad? Iba a traer estos temas, ¿no? ¿Verdad? Hablamos de los timesheets, de la políticas y procedimientos y pues vale, nada. Volví y recalco, pueden escribir en el chat, pueden escribirnos al email de OJP TFSC. Cualquier duda, interrogante, cualquier ayuda que necesiten, siempre estamos aquí, ¿ok? Nos escriben. La segunda fue ok, les gustó la encuesta y ok, les gustó el group chat. Okay, so first, they like the actual general topics of these scenarios. I was just telling them that, I think that this particular topic, finance monitoring is going to bring about other topics that, they may need help with or that they're interested in. I prompted them to, write us, call us, just reach out to us by chat, email, call. And then the second choice was the actual poll question. And then last, but they actually liked the scenario, the group chat. So that's good. Gracias a todos. Ahora, go ahead, guys.
Okay, so ya estamos cerca concluyendo el webinar. Antes de pasar solo a Jamil para que nos cierre el seminario web, quería decirle que parte de los recursos de este webinar que le vamos a mandar un sumario, un resumen del seminario, que va a ser un reporte que va a tener los puntos clavos de este seminario, que es un recurso que podemos mantener y también pueden compartirlo con colegas. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Jamil to close us out and talk to us about next steps in the webinar. Thank you, everyone. Jamil.
All right, so we're coming to the end of our session. Before you go, let's take a look at the next steps. So please take a few moments to complete our webinar evaluation survey. That's linked in the chat below. And I'll post a link to that right now. Next slide, please. To contact the Virtual Support Center or the VSC, you can email us at ojptfsc@usdoj.gov. And a response to email inquiries usually take about 24 hours within the next business day. You can also schedule a consultation call with a financial specialist with the details provided in the chat box below. Next slide, please. So check out our website at ojp.gov/TFSC and sign up for our listserv with the details linked in the chat below. Our next event, titled Learning Exchange Training Series number 3, will be held on Tuesday, September 28th, 2021 at 10 a.m. ADT time. And I'll provide the registration link in a chat below, along with the MailChimp link. Next slide, please. And at this time, does anyone have any questions before we end it? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank everyone for joining. I thank all the hosts for speaking today, and have a good day. You may now disconnect.
Thank you, everyone.